are live, guys.
Let's see. And three, Mr. Come on. Let's go. Hurry up. Come on. It takes a little while.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Cool.
It says we're already live. Switch.
It is?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. All right. Then I'm just going to start off real quick. Since I got to make sure it's on. It's got on my part real quick. And yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm going to start off by saying thank you, everyone, for showing up today. This is like our third. We're doing pretty good. We're getting nice news when we just started this awesome podcast. We got a awesome guest today, and I want to thank especially Retro Stylz for having our guest in today. If Retro, you want to take it from there, I'm going to continue on setting up the logos and stuff that I got to do on the YouTube part. So go ahead, Retro.
Sure. I'm gonna kind of regurgitate what we were talking about before we started, but I was telling COOLTOY how I reached out to a few people that had like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 subs, and they wouldn't want to do a collaboration. And I thought I'd shoot for the moon and hit COOLTOY up, and he did a collaboration with me, which was pretty awesome. I never had anybody with more than what I had subs do. I did one with Mr. Switch before. I did one with DJ Gamer, and I can't remember who else, but at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to shoot for the moon. And then I hit up COOLTOY, which is pretty awesome because he's one of the people that I really respect in the YouTube community, because as a kid, I loved arcades. And when I saw those videos that he was producing, I was like, man, it took me back to the 90s. That was straight all 90s nostalgia. And then I was watching, like, following all the arcade 1-up stuff, and it was pretty cool. And I was just pretty stoked to have him on the stream when he responded. And when I had asked him and he said yes, I was like, man, this is awesome. We're gonna have like a pretty cool, we were saying this and he doesn't think so, but legendary status YouTuber on our YouTube channel. So without further ado, COOLTOY, it's all you, man. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Oh, okay. Appreciate it. That's, again, far too kind of an introduction from Harlan. I greatly appreciate it. Been doing the YouTube thing for, I think, right at about 2 years. I signed up for a YouTube account like in 2006. So I've had it active forever, but for years and years and years, I literally just used it as a tool to like basically be an online hard drive for anything I did for a video or anything like that. I never like published it or made it go public or anything like that. Every once in a while I'd get hired to edit a video or commercial or something like that for a local business. And I would just use YouTube as a hard drive. So I didn't eat up my own computer space. But lo and behold, a couple of years ago, I decided to start uploading public videos. And I was like, hey, I just want to do something, talk about nerdy stuff that I like, and, try to put a positive look out there, because I see a lot of YouTubers are like super negative and always kind of, pulling others down, and it's just not my style. So I was like, hey, I want to put out another positive spin on things, to negate a lot of that negativity that I see out in the YouTube world. So that's kind of how I got started, and it's been a fun little experiment ever since. It's beyond surpassed what I thought it was going to turn into. Like that first year, I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I could somehow get 1,000 subscribers. And then like I had a video or two like take off, and I literally like woke up one morning and I had like 15,000 views on a video, and had like one of those, oh my God moments. What do I do now? People think I'm, a legit person. I was like, I've got to like follow this up. How do I do that? So I almost had like, a little bit of a panic moment, but it's been a learning experience, and I've enjoyed the ride. Absolutely.
So what inspired you as a kid? Like, what got you into video games?
Oh, so for my parents, video games were like free babysitting. Like they would either tell me to go to the arcade that was near like the bus stop that I got off at school and just stay there until they got off work. Or if they were going to go out for the weekend or go to the bar or something, they would just say, hey, don't leave the house, sit there and play your Nintendo and be a good boy. So I would do as I'm told. And, video games became like, a secondary parent to me, because I didn't have brothers and sisters that I grew up with. I've got an older brother and sister, but they are 10 years older than me, and they were out of the house by the time I was growing up. So I didn't have that, bonding experience with them. So I literally just grew up in arcades and in my, living room, just playing video games all the time to entertain myself and, basically raise myself while my parents are out and about doing other things.
That's awesome.
Sorry about that. My computer almost restarted for an update. I'm like, no, can't do that right now.
That would be bad.
But No, that's cool, man. I mean, we appreciate you coming on the stream, and I don't know if you watched our previous ones, but we kind of just chalk it up about what we did, our first intros and our topics. Mr. Switch, is anybody you had in mind that you wanted to kick off the next set?
The next set for, sorry, give me a second. I was doing our, I wanted to the live thing here on YouTube. I'm putting in Cool Toys, how do you call it? Twitter. Everyone's got their Twitter and YouTube information in the description. So I was doing that for a second, setting everything up.
Okay.
I'm pretty much done now.
It's all right. I got you. All right. Well, hey, Cloudy, do you have any gaming news that, like, anything fresh that's out?
Not really, man. I just came up with some questions for Cool Toy. I mean,
go for it. Shoot.
Nah, but for real, let's we have to talk about this game. It just came out yesterday, right? Streets of Rage 4. You guys heard of the game?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So go download that game. That game looks awesome. Also, check out Cool Toys. He had a recent stream of that game. Cool stream. Go check it out, man.
Yeah, that game's a blast. That was my first time playing it. Like, I purposely like withheld all the news and information about that game other than like the first official trailer. That was like all I knew about it, because I was like, I want to go in this completely surprised. You know, I've been waiting 26 years for this game to come out. I don't want anything spoiled for me. So yesterday during that live stream, that was the first time I ever got to, you know, learn and experience anything about it. And I found out afterwards that I missed, you know, getting a bunch of these secret levels unlocked because I didn't know what I was doing, because I was just aimlessly going through. So that was kind of a bummer, but it gives me a reason to go back through and play it some more.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
Yeah, it looks so awesome though. Holy cow. I mean, one of my favorite games of all time, you can ask Retro, is definitely Streets of Rage Part 2.
Yep.
So I just seeing that the Part 4, just like with the new technology, the new graphics, but like kind of a callback to the mid-90s beat 'em ups. It was super cool to see. I would love to play it.
Yep. And they got the same musical composers to come back that did Streets of Rage 2. So I mean, that you could tell right away that very first level, I was like, oh wow, this is like a direct love letter to Streets of Rage 2, because like this first level just looks like it could be a block away from that first level in Streets of Rage 2.
That's awesome. For sure.
Yeah.
That's dope.
But you're all good, Cloudy?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right. Hey, I know that you were big on Cool Toy. Did you want to ask him anything, QA?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple questions for Cool Toy. I've been following you since for a long time also, especially since when I first started watching your first videos about Arcade 1-Up. And actually, because of you, I have the Street Fighter one, and I'm looking to get the NBA Jam now.
Oh my God, yes.
I got the okay from my wife about the NBA Jam, so it's okay.
Smart man. At least you asked for
me. Happy life.
Can always blame Cool Toy for it.
I've heard that more than once. That's funny. Yeah.
But in terms of like going back to YouTube and your start, like at one point did you feel like, holy cow, like I can really like take this, you know, and put more time into it? Like at what point did you feel like you could invest more time into it, that you felt like your channel was really taking off?
I mean, I hate to say this, but I always kind of like given it the same amount of attention like from day one that I do now. That may sound like lackadaisical or whatever, but like that's just the way I always do things. Like you don't ever want to half-ass things. Like it's either all or nothing.
Yeah.
And there's times where like you know, some things don't perform as well as you want them to. Like there's times where I've spent like, you know, 8 hours editing a video and it just went, and there's times where I threw something together in like an hour and a half and I was like, oh man, that felt lazy. And then I put it out there and it does well. And I was like, well, crap. I'm like, do I just need to do that more? Do I need to like stop, you know, analyzing things and nitpicking things too much? But like the biggest thing is just trying to be like consistent. And like that's, you know, they always preach and tell you with all the like the YouTube learning seminars and all that other stuff is always just, you know, consistency. Right. And that was just one thing I always wanted to stick with. I was like, all right, I'm just going to set myself an attainable goal. If I exceed it, that's, you know, bonus points. If I miss it, that's on my part. So I'm just like, look, I'm just going to make one video a week. That's the only thing I've ever said, one video a week. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to hold myself to. Sometimes I'll, like, I think last week I put out like 5 videos in the week. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm able to work from home so I can multitask multiple things.
That helps
if
out
I
a
was,
lot.
yeah, but if I was, having to go do the 9 to 5 at the office and then come back to the house, and then try to stress and do, 5 videos a week or something like that, that's crazy. You'll burn yourself out. So
Yeah,
I
that's
just
true.
try to give myself an attainable goal, and don't give myself too lofty expectations. Don't try to like go, all right, I have to do this, and if I don't succeed, if I don't get this many subscribers or this many views or whatever, I'm a failure. It's like, no, don't go chasing numbers. You'll burn yourself out. You'll hate what you do. I do this because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't do it for a job or anything like that. So I'm at this nice level to where I get to do as much content as I want on whatever I want to do it. I don't have to force myself in a box to make, revenue or anything like that. I'm able to freely do it for pure passion, and that's where I want to stay.
Yeah. I like that though, because I feel like you've done a great job making that like your brand, like someone like I want to say like a cool guy, but at the same time someone we can all relate to on the nerd side. Like you're like a really cool nerd, I guess, if that makes sense. Cool nerd, like the cool kid, but like the nerd at the same time, like we can relate to. So I think that's an awesome way to like, we can talk to you, which is nice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've always considered myself like a nerd with social skills. I don't know how else to describe it or whatever, because in high school, like I played all the sports, I was supposed to go play college football. I was like the prototypical jock, but like I read comic books nonstop, played video games nonstop. Like I still had toys and collectibles. Like that's where the cool toy comes from. Like I was voted the coolest kid in school, but all these like mean girls also called me Toy Boy because I literally had like action figures and stuff in my locker room. So I just put them together, and I had Cool Toy, and like 23 was my basketball number. So like,
sweet.
Cool Toy 23. That's how that all came about.
Oh,
But,
okay.
Like I am 100% through and through as nerdy as it gets. I'll make no apology. I never try to like put myself out there as anybody that I'm not. I'm not trying to like up my street cred or my nerd cred or whatever it is. Like I'm just me. Like the moment you try to like pretend you're somebody else, like the internet, they can see right through it. Other people right through it, and like you don't want to just like turn that camera on and hit the red light and like try to pretend you're somebody else, because that's just exhausting. So my biggest thing is just like, if you like me, great. If you don't, understandable as well. Everybody's not going to like everybody. Just be yourself and do the best you can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great advice there.
That's awesome, man. All right, who's up? Who wants to go next? Okay, so BlackPKMNTrainer, you wanna go up next?
Yeah. I have a question for you, Cool Toy. I was watching your micro machines video, which actually it connected to me in a way because it brought back a lot of memories of me actually playing with Hot Wheels when I was a little bit younger. And I'm just curious, what got you into micro machines, and do you still have a collection right now?
I do, but they're all at my parents' house, and it's probably been like 2 years since I've seen it. I still hope they're there anyway, because like my parents sold off all my like my Ninja Turtles, my Toy Biz action figures. Like I came back from like college one time, and like everything was just gone, like video games, everything. It all got yard sold, and I was like, whoa, didn't even get like a heads up on this. I think my micro machines are still in a box, because like I said, I saw them a couple years ago. They survived. My biggest thing like that got me into micro machines was, I think, probably like just the value of them. Like I said, didn't have a lot of money growing up, so my parents are like, sure, we'll spend $1 and get you some micro machines, or the $197 to get you a 5-pack, because they were very affordable. Also, my parents were big on Legos. I think my mom secretly was hoping I would like turn into an architect or something, so she was very supportive of my addiction to Legos. But micro machines for sure. Like I had Hot Wheels too. I had the tracks. My track doubled as a weapon. Walking around smacking, me and the neighbor kids would smack each other with the Hot Wheels track, and then we get in trouble with mom, and she'd spank us with the Hot Wheel track as well. But micro machines, there's just that. I was just amazed with like the details of them. Like, and to this day, like I look at them like this came out like 25 years ago, and the details of this super tiny little toy surpasses what I'm seeing on the store shelves now. Like it just blows me away. Like everything's cost cutting and corner cutting and things like that. Like we're paying $3 for these little Matchbox cars at Walmart now that look like crap compared to these micro machines that we got 25 years ago. It just blows me away. So that's big. remember my favorite one that I had growing up though was it wasn't even like a, it was was it a fire like airplane, looks kind of like the X-Men's X, just like a black 90s like stealth bomber looking. I remember playing with that until the wheels literally fell off, and then it became like this ninja star because I remember it had like pointed edges, so I would like play ninja in my room, like throwing that thing into my pillow, thinking I was a ninja of some sort.
We all did that.
I can tell you right now, I'm sure your parents are like extremely happy that all your micro machines are put away right now, because like stepping on the Lego, man, I'm sure that hurt.
There's nothing worse than that, man.
Yeah,
nothing worse.
Lego or barefoot micro machine, like that was the parents' worst nightmare. Like I said, I vividly remember like the stern lecture that I got after my dad had stepped on some, and like, you know, it's clearly after he told me one too many times to pick up my toys, get stuff out of the hallway. It's one of those moments you're like, I'm gonna die. Today's the day that,
Awesome.
That's so relatable.
All right, next one up. You got anything one up?
Yeah, I just have a simple question for you. What of all the videos you've done on YouTube, what's the one you're most proud of?
I'll have to think about it. I can answer like, I'll work backwards, and hopefully I can think of the one in the front to begin with. So like the one that I'm probably like the least proud of, which is funny, it's like the very first arcade 1-up video, just because I did it like so nonchalantly, and like there's so many things in that video that bother me. Like I just had the camera set up, talking to the camera, and my dogs just kept coming up and like licking me or whatever. And like, dude, I'm the whole video like kind of like lurching down a little bit and like just kind of like trying to shoo them away, like pet them. So like, but like when I watch that video back, I'm like, I look like a crackhead because I'm like just constantly like kind of scratching all the time. Like, and that was like one of the first videos that like kind of like blew up for me and like got people like viewing my channel, because like I literally woke up one morning and that video went from like 500 views to like 15,000 like overnight, and I was like, oh crap, that's not good.
Overnight fame.
Wasn't
Most
prepared.
Would have been like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, no, I said I wasn't prepared for that type of thing. Like, you know, I thought everything was going to be like much more gradual. So, and that's where I really right there and then like had to change my mindset. Like, no, everything you do, you have to put it out there, you know, with a lot of effort, and like with the expectation that, you know, hey, this might turn into something. Is this something I'm comfortable putting out there, or did I half-ass it? You know, that kind of goes back to that type of thing. It's like, so I learned my lesson like really quick. It's like, hey, anything you put out there, whether you put your whole heart and soul into it, either way, once you hit that publish button, like it can grab some traction, whether it's the algorithm or whatever causes it to get more eyes on it. Like it can light a fire and it can spread, and then you want to really make sure that you're proud of that work. I think probably one of the two favorite things I like probably the most as far as proud video moments or whatever is things that are like not arcade 1-up or arcade related. Like that's kind of like my bread and butter. That's what a lot of people associate with me, and that's fine and dandy. But like I love toys, I love collectibles. So anytime I get to like talk about something like that and it like gets more eyeballs on it, like we talk about the Soundwave, like I loved that people were excited about that. And I had so many comments like, oh my God, I didn't know this was out there. Like, I love that growing up. I missed having it, you know, same kind of iterations and reactions that I had. It's like, oh my God, this was part of my childhood that I missed. And being able to help people like find those things and realize that, hey, this is sitting on your Walmart shelf. If you just go to the toy aisle, you probably walk by it, you know, the last 5 times you've been to your Walmart, and you don't know that, you know, an iconic piece of your childhood is just sitting there waiting for you to purchase it. So typically anything that's like not arcade related, that's kind of away from my norm, that does well on my channel, I get super emotional and excited about, just because like it's personal to me, because I'm like, hey, you know, I'm not just a one-trick pony. Hooray.
So I have one question. My one question. Are you into video journalism at all? Because like when I watch your videos, like kind of like how I watch QAs, they're both like almost like video journalism status. Like when you watch it, it's just so informational. Like even when we did that collab last year, it was cool how like you took back and you talked about everything that was in there, but it's just how you put the video together. It was just incredible.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So answer the question. Absolutely. 100%. That's kind of like my background. Like I was the kid in school that literally had a video camera in his hands at all times. Like I've just got tubs and tubs and tubs full of like VHS-C tapes and like 8mm tapes and things like that from the 90s, because I always had a Sony Handycam with me like all times. Like I saved up a bunch of yard mowing money and bought it, and I just recorded every part of my childhood and life and adulthood until like I was probably like 25. And I said, what am I doing with this? I'm filling all these tapes up and I'm not doing anything with it. So I kind of slowed down. But I actually went to school or in college, studied film and media production. That was what I went to school for. I was supposed to go play college football, had a freak high school injury towards the end of my high school career, broke my neck, everything. Yeah. I can walk, I can talk, everything's good, super A-okay now. But at the time, you know, it was scary. But there went my football scholarship. Luckily, I had an academic scholarship. So I went and studied film and media production at college. Did it in high school as well. Got there. Had fun with it, but like wasn't really what I was expecting it to be. Like I thought I was going to go to college, and I was like, all right, now this stuff's going to get serious. They're going to show me this awesome world of like media production, all these things I don't know. And I got there and I was like, I'd already taught myself 90% of what they were going over. So I was like, oh, okay. That really reaffirmed that whole, like, you don't really need to go down that, you know, straight and narrow path to, you know, find the light at the end of the tunnel. Same thing with like film production directors. Like you ask nine out of 10 directors in Hollywood, it's like, did you go to film school? Most of them are like, no, I didn't go to film school. I just, you know, I worked on a set and I networked, I did little jobs here and there, and that's how they got their start in the industry. But that was my background, was media production. My wife, she was wanting to start her own business. She wanted to be a photographer. That was her dream. So I made the life decision. It was like, hey, I'll get a normal, real job so we don't both go out there trying to chase our dreams simultaneously. Because if anyone knows, trying to, you know, start a business from scratch, that's a very daunting process. So to ask two people to do that simultaneously, you know, pays nothing at the beginning, and then like you don't have insurance, you don't have 401k, you don't have all those normal necessities that we, you know, those creature comforts that we take for granted for a normal 9-to-5. So I got that normal 9-to-5 job so she could go chase her dreams, and YouTube is now just kind of been my creative outlet for all those things that I didn't get to do for studying in college, and where my background and my passion for media production actually, you know, lies in.
That's tight. Mr. Switch, you got anything?
Yeah. Sorry, man. I spent a lot of time doing all the, retweeting and putting all this out there to all the messenger people, and like struggling to get this done. I'm good. All right, let's see. What do I got for you? What is that one game right now that you just, it's not out yet, but you must, like, it's a diehard that's coming out soon? Or like for me, it's the Metroid Prime 4. I can't stand it. It's taking so long, but that's what I want. What's that one game for you that you've got to have that's not out yet?
So until yesterday, it was Streets of Rage 4. But now that we got Streets of Rage 4 finally, probably looking forward to the most is the new Avengers game that's supposed to come out.
Ooh,
as well as Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, yes.
Got to see both of those firsthand at E3, and I've been jonesing for them ever since. Thought we were going to get to play Cyberpunk earlier than, you know, we were, but now it's delayed. But that's what I'm jonesing for right now, is those two games for sure.
Now those games are both slated to come out in September now, right?
Yep, which just happens to coincide with my birthday, so I'm hoping those release dates stick, so I can buy them both and not feel bad about it at all.
Happy birthday to you.
There we go. Hey, your wife knows just what to get you for your birthday then.
Yeah, she gets mad because I like just send her like Amazon wish lists, and she's like, no, I want to do something special. I'm like, no, just stick with the wish list, trust me.
The last 2 years, I've stopped doing that because my wife and I have been together for years, and that's all I've been doing is sending her an Amazon wish list. And then the last 2 years, she's all, you want me to send me your wish list? I'm all, yeah, I'm going to let you be creative, babe. Take the reins for a minute.
There you go.
Right on. All right, so now we're open. Everybody's got their questions out. Mr. Switch, what's on?
I actually did want to ask something about your love for the arcade cabinets. Just like I actually just got me one about 2 months ago from Mason Conrad. I don't know if you know him, but I picked it up at his place in Ohio, and I got that Mario shoot, it's 1983 Super Mario Bros. Arcade cabinet, very
Yeah.
old. It says number 4 in the back. It's made in Japan. It's like, it's just awesome as heck. I'm trying to get it. Maybe, do you think it's possible? Because there's a lot of lines going down through the screen.
Mhm.
Of course, because it's old, it plays old. So is there any way that can be worked with or worked down, or is it just gonna stay old and eventually?
No, yeah, that's normally that's the first thing that go are the monitors and all these old arcades. That's why you just see a lot of them that get converted to LCDs and LED monitors, things like that, just because the technical knowledge, thankfully for the internet, there's resources available. But nowadays, like you don't see TV repair shops on every corner or every shopping center, things like that. So like there's not a lot of places you can like physically take these in to like work on it. So a lot of people are having to like do the YouTube thing and kind of experiment and learn themselves and teach themselves. But a lot of times the capacitors are the first things that go in those monitors. I think it's I forget the actual model. I used to know it like the back of my hand, but that's like typically the first thing that gets rebuilt. And once you get that squared away, most of the time it's like a whole brand new monitor. I think it's like $100 most of the time as far as parts. The labor is the tricky part, because like if you don't know what you're doing, you can shock the bejesus out of yourself, because like the back of those monitors, they hold quite a charge and they hold it for quite a while. So like you're always supposed to like touch it with a screwdriver to like decharge it, so to speak, and get that extra wattage out of there. And a lot of people don't, and the first time they go just tinkering with it and they get lit up like a Christmas tree, like Christmas Story.
Yeah, I'll probably
Christmas Vacation.
Somebody do that for me, because I don't think I'm going to do that. But yeah.
Oh, dude.
Come on, you can do it.
Switch. We still need you here, buddy.
I mean,
if you do choose to do it, like just make sure there's a camera nearby, because you always want to have those memories available. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to know that there's I thought it was going to maybe be a couple thousand I'm going to spend just to get the screen fixed. I don't know.
No, like I said, that's typically the number one thing that needs to be replaced and worked on all these arcades is like a rejuvenation of the monitors, so to speak. But a lot of times that's the biggest thing. Some of them get a little too far gone to where there's just like too much screen burn in. Like I have a full-size Street Fighter 2 cabinet and like I loved it, and I ended up having to just like get rid of the monitor. I could have got another CRT monitor and put it in there, but like the one I had, it just had so much burn in. Like you could see the high scores like almost at all times, didn't matter what stage, level, or whatever. It had so much burn in, and I was like, I could try to rebuild this, but like it's probably going to be way more effort than it really is. And I'm like, it's just for me. I'm not like trying to resell this to anybody else. So I ended up selling the monitor to somebody that was, repurposing a Rampage cabinet, and he was very appreciative to get just a working monitor, because they're so rare these days. He didn't even care about the minor burn-ins. So it's one of those things, like it's a dying technology, and a couple of years it's going to be to where there's nothing left. Like all the people that know how to refurbish these and all the parts available are just going to dry up, and it's just going to be, you take what you can get.
What's your favorite arcade right now that you have?
That I have?
Yeah.
The one I'm probably playing the most right now is like my At Games Legends, just because it's got like 350 games built in. I can play my PC games on it. I can stream from it. I can do all sorts of things. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. I've actually spent the last couple of days working on my Arcade 1-Up Star Wars cabinet and modifying it to where I can play other games and use the Star Wars yoke as a controller. Like I just tested it out this afternoon while I was on lunch, and I've got Daytona 2 playing on it with the Star Wars yoke. So I'm sitting there playing Daytona on the Star Wars.
That's
cabinet.
awesome.
So that's a big win on my book, because I'm like running out of space, but I still plan on buying more of these cabinets. So I'm like, well, how do I do this? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm functionally compressing a couple of my cabinets into one so I can clear up space for more. But my pride and joy is still my Street Fighter 2 full-size cabinet. That was like my childhood dream and ambition, was to have an arcade cabinet and to have a Street Fighter 2 one, because that's what I grew up playing the most, and that's what I loved the most. It was very cool just to be like, a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid that could beat up an adult on a video game. Like that was like the only time like I was on a level playing field with adults. Any other time, having a conversation, they're like, shut up, kid, you don't know what you're talking about. You're only 10 years old. But like when it came to arcades or something, you could actually go, hey, I know what I'm talking about. this is how you get to that next level, or this is how you you find that warp whistle, or whatever it is. Video games always kind of brought that even playing field down with the adults, and that's where I really like grew my passion for arcades.
Oh, I have a good question then to piggyback off of that. So okay, it's 1992. You're entering an arcade facility. You have 2 quarters in your hand, and you're going to Street Fighter Championship Edition. Who are you picking as your character? Who is your Street Fighter Championship character?
So in 1992, I would have picked probably Blanca, because like I was just now learning that game.
Come on.
So like Blanca and Chun-Li, because I was just spamming the electrical attack or her kick. But like a couple of years later, when I got like really good at that game, I was mainly a Chun-Li or Sagat player.
Nice.
Right out of the gate, I was always just like Blanca or Chun-Li, because I didn't know any better, and I was like, oh, that's the move that I know. I just smashed that attack button. That's all I have to do.
That's great.
Do you play any of the new Street Fighter, like the Street Fighter 5?
Yep. Love it to death. I've been the day it was released on Steam, I downloaded it. That's another reason I like having that games cabinet. I can send it over to that cabinet and play arcade style, because
that's awesome.
I like fight sticks, but like I just feel awkward like playing fighting games with a fight stick in my lap, because it like moves around too much. And so like I want an arcade. I want something that's steady and in front of me, that I don't have to worry about tipping over or wobbling all over the place, that I've got my controls in front of me.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna quickly ask: is At Games arcade like? Is it heavy? Like
no, it's kind of like the whole thing fully built is like 88 pounds.
Oh, that's not bad.
So like I mean, it's awkward because it's bigger, but like you can still grab it by both hands, get your Hulk grip, and pick it up and move it wherever you want to. Like it's my full size Street Fighter. I mean, I've got an LED monitor in it now, which literally cut like 150 pounds when I got that old CRT monitor out there. That thing still weighs like over 300 pounds. Like it is. I don't know how I'm ever going to get it out of this house if I move. Like it's one of those things where I'm going to have to slip the movers like $100 and say, sorry about your luck, brother, but I'm going to need that, because it's up a flight of stairs. So they're going to have to take it down a flight of stairs.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, but no, that At Games, it's heavier and bigger than the arcade 1-up cabinets, but it's still nowhere near a full size arcade cabinet as far as the footprint and the weight.
Yeah.
Is there a game that you want to see come out in the 1-up cabinets?
Oh, there's a bunch of games I want to see. The problem with that is like, I know realistically like what a lot of these games need to run as far as hardware specifications. I also know like the financial burden, a lot of those things. Like my passion was Star Wars trilogy arcades. So like that was one of the games I wanted, next to Street Fighter 2, that I wanted more than anything. I knew Arcade 1-Up probably isn't ever going to release that game, so I just built my own, because number one, right now, the only way to play that and emulate it correctly is using a PC. I know Arcade 1-Up financially and logistically is not going to go out and buy, 15,000 PCs in bulk and then put those in these cabinets and ship those out, because, their cost of goods just went through the roof, as opposed to the $1.25 PCB board that they're buying from China right now. I mean, it just eats all their profit away. So like it's things like that I know, like Marvel versus Capcom 2. I would love to see that on an arcade cabinet. Everybody else will, but like the problem with emulating that, like you need some beefy PCB. Something like an Odroid can run it. Raspberry Pis a lot of times struggle with it. Even then, like, are they gonna throw in a Raspberry Pi in one of these machines? 15,000 units? Probably not.
Marvel versus Capcom. They have that for PlayStation, I believe, too.
To piggyback off of that, I know. Okay, speaking from like Arcade 1-Up fan community, I can definitely say this. Probably one of the most anticipated, most wanted or requested that I've been hearing from in the back end is definitely Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
To this day, I think the graphics are just. Still to this day, I think they're super gorgeous. If they could come up with like, and this is fantasizing, but like a Killer Instinct cabinet with 1 and 2 in there. Now, I think the closest I've been able to do, or anyone is able to do, aside from sticking like a giant Dell Optiplex in there, is and it's called an Atomic Pi. And ETA Prime had covered it. I covered it in a couple of my videos, and it's gotten a lot of traction for me, because I was actually able to show how you could, install like RetroApply and put Killer Instinct Arcade, and it runs at 60 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
The board itself with the breakout board and the plug-in and everything, it's about like $38.
Yeah.
So if Arcade One could, I don't know, make something similar to that for cheap, I think that would be the closest bet to doing Killer Instinct. But that arcade, I'm telling you, would sell out. I guarantee that would sell out through the roof. I would buy it for sure.
Yeah,
There's
a lot of those games that I know, like, and I know that Arcade One Up knows that, like, people want them or whatever. Like, they've got a top 50 list. It's like, and that top 50 looks like, what are the most profitable arcade games of all time? Because like that's how they're going to approach things. They're a business. It makes 100%, logical sense that they want to, go for the heavy hitters that made the most money in the arcades, because logistically you would think it would make the most money on a retail atmosphere. So they're going to attack those heavy hitters first. And then in between all those are going to be like what I always call the love letter games, like the Killer Instincts, the Marvel versus Capcom. Like they did well in the arcades, whatever, but they still nowhere near Pac-Man and Galaxy and those type of things. So luckily, I think we've got a lot of those heavy hitter titles out of the way, so we can start to see some of those love letter games. Now it's just a matter of like greasing those, corporate wheels. Do people want to do the business? Like the good thing that Arcade One has going for them right now is they've got a couple, like right about 2 years worth of success under their belt. So instead of being the guys that were like knocking on all these licensors' doors saying, hey, we're the new guys in town, we got this nice little arcade, we'd love it if you guys would work with us. And those guys going, well, you got any sales or track record or history that we can look at? And I go, no, but we've got lofty goals and expectations. That's not a good sales pitch. Now you got 2 years worth of sales history, and you get, hey, we've sold 1 million units, and we've done a brand deal with this guy and this guy and this guy, and we've got commercials on major network television, and we've done this and this and this. Those companies are knocking on Arcade One Up stores, like, hey, how do we get our games in your cabinet? So that helps them so much with what they need to do to release these games that, like Killer Instinct, need a little more power or something like that. So, hey, we know we need to spend a little extra to upgrade the power that this game runs on. Cut us a deal, because we know it's going to sell X amount of units, and we've got a licensor that is raring to go. What can we do? So I think we'll see a lot of those love letter games come out in this next year and 2 years.
Definitely, good point. Yeah, because like you said, the old Droid, because I have the XU4, and it runs like Naomi pretty much perfectly. It runs Dreamcast perfectly. Even the Atomic Pi can run. It runs Dreamcast, the Dreamcast version of Marvel versus Capcom 2 full frames. So I imagine that could be like something that they could think of, like those architecture, without having to put a giant Dell Optiplex PC in the back of their arcade unit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool, very cool. I was shocked when they came out with the NBA Jam. I think a lot of us were like, wow, they actually were able to pull that off. That was amazing.
Yes.
It's a big score.
Oh, it's a huge score, because that was one of those that, like, I probably read that comment 1,000 times. It'll never happen. Impossible. Licensing doesn't work. And I'm just like, don't ever, say never, never say never, because you always, put your foot in your mouth and you look like a fool. We don't know what goes behind closed doors. I've got a pretty good idea what goes on behind closed doors, because I've developed a nice little relationship with a lot of guys that actually work for Arcade One Up. So I've got a nice little insight at what their day-to-day looks like. But like, even then, like, I was like, man, that's going to be an uphill climb for you. And they're like, we'll see. So that always gave me hope. I was like, okay, we'll see. That's all I needed to know. I'm like, clearly you guys think this is possible. And granted, there's going to be some omissions. Like, it's just the amount of players that they have to somehow, wrangle in and touch base with, as well as the Players Association. Like, there's going to be some players that are not going to be on those rosters. And to somebody, some of those players missing, it's going to be an absolute deal breaker. And I completely understand that. If it was my favorite team, I would understand that completely. But probably for 99% of consumers and 99% of the people that want to buy that NBA Jam cabinet, not going to bother them a bit.
Yeah, it looks so awesome too. It looks so great, the design of it.
Hey,
plus the online capability thing. That's another thing that like people were shocked at. They're like, wait, we're going to play online for free? You're not going to charge us an extra fee?
Yeah. COOLTOY.
Yes, sir.
What shirt are you wearing?
I am wearing a Loot Crate Zelda.
Ah, there we go. That's
that
was Link. That was Link.
Yeah.
Nice.
And is that a Power Ranger I see behind you?
Oh yeah, I got Power Rangers all over. I got Power Rangers curtains. Yeah, Power Rangers is both my wife and I's bread and butter. That's one of my biggest passions. Like, I know today, like, people typically don't care about the Power Rangers. You know,
I love the
ones that
original.
do. The ones that do were like, you know, Mighty Morphin was all right. Everything else sucked. And I'm like, you know, that it's not 100% wrong, but I've always just loved it.
I still think about the original.
What did I think about the original? I mean, that was perfect. Like, to this day, I remember watching that first episode, premiere day. The day it happened, I remember picking up my phone and calling like my neighbor across the street, saying, "Oh my God, did you see that episode? It was so cool. It was the greatest thing ever." Just, you know, rambling.
That was a good.
And like 20 minutes later, I think we were out in the yard, like just karate kicking the crap out of each other, trying to pretend we were.
So were you the Green Ranger or the Red?
I would. So
white.
So like I love Green Ranger, of course. You know, you can't knock the Green Ranger because he's so cool. But like, I was always Red Ranger. Red Ranger, Red Ranger, Red Ranger. Like, I'm a big fan of Jason Scott, and I was just like, man, he got the raw deal. Because like, as an adult, I go back and look at that, I'm like, man, Tommy came in, stole his team, stole his girl,
and he was bad at first too. He was actually a bad guy, I think, at first, right? I remember.
Yeah. Green with Evil miniseries, and the funny thing was, like, he wasn't even supposed to be on the show. He like was trying to be on it was like VR Troopers, which is like another Power Rangers.
Oh, I used to love VR Troopers.
Was bad.
So yeah, Jason David Frank originally like had tried out for that show, and they were going to bring him on, and some kind of weird scheduling thing happened, and they're like, okay, sorry, we didn't get you on VR Troopers. Like, we told you we were going to be, we'll give you this little guest spot on the Power Rangers thing, because in the Japanese like Sentai version of the show, like, the Green Ranger dies, like, he doesn't stick around for a long time. So the fact that, you know, the American version was relying heavily on all that, you know, old Sentai footage, I was like, oh, this is going to be a little tricky. How are they going to make this Green Ranger stick around? But they figured it out. Clever writing.
Yeah.
I saw one of your videos. Oh, I seen a bunch of videos. Have you been wearing the Green Ranger helmet?
I have. It's so tempting, especially this time, because, like, you know, we're all supposed to.
You have it with you.
Oh, it's right above me on the shelf. I can grab it if you
want.
I got
got
White Ranger, Green Ranger, and Red Ranger all on the top shelf here. Yeah. But like, you know, we're all supposed to be doing the social distancing and wearing masks and everything. And like, you know how tempting it is for me to not put on a Power Rangers helmet or my Darth Vader helmet or any of this stuff, and like just walk around.
That last stream, helmets.
Exactly. And like, there's a new like Star Wars Black Series Boba Fett helmet that's supposed to come out in a couple of days. I'm like, protect myself from the germs.
So did you play the game when it came out?
Which one?
There was one that recently came out. I think Switch might have played it. It was
the Battle for the Grid?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Which game?
What did you think about it? The Power Rangers?
It was all right. I mean, it could have been better. It was, to me, it was like it was a little too cell phone-ish.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
You know, what people were worried with Streets of Rage 4, they looked at it originally with that first trailer, they're like, oh, it looks like a cell phone game. Well, the Power Rangers game, it plays like a cell phone game. Like, I got super excited. I was like, oh my God, it's a Power Rangers game. It's a fighting game. This is like two of my favorite loves, you know, smashed into one. And then I played it and I was like, meh. Yeah. I want to love it, but I can't. I think I play it more just for nostalgic purposes more than the fact that it's a good gamer and thing. It's not terrible, but it's not great by any means.
I never hated on Power Rangers. My thing with Power Rangers was when my sister used to watch it. She was big on Power Rangers, Pokemon. When I first saw that episode, all I could think about was Voltron. I was like, hold up, man. These people, are they copying from Voltron? And I was a big Voltron fan. And I was like, no, man. they had a big fights with people about that. Oh, Power Rangers. I'm like, no, man, they're copying Voltron.
I was so oblivious to it growing up because, like, literally, I would watch Voltron, and then, like, a couple hours later, like, Power Rangers would come on, and then right after it was like Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, and all these other knockoff shows. And I'd watch them all, and I never put two and two together that they're all ripoffs of the same thing. And I'm just like, come on. It's like, you know, Transformers and GoBots. I was just like, hey, sweet, more robots. You know, I'm just like, oh wow, that's the Kmart Transformers. That's what that is. I never saw things like truly with. I always had like those rose-colored glasses on at all times. I just looked at things and like, oh sweet, it's a toy. Oh sweet, it's a TV show. I never sat there and went, oh wait a minute, that's a blatant ripoff of something that I just watched 30 minutes ago. You know, the toy companies love me because I was just a blind consumer. I was just like, I want it all.
Do you remember the show Centurions? And did you ever collect any of the toys?
I don't think I had any of the toys, but I definitely remember watching it. That was the thing about like the 90s, especially, like everything had its own show. Like, didn't matter what it was. If you were like the most obscure toy line ever, guess what? You got 9 episodes of animated television on Saturday mornings on Fox.
Wow.
That's true.
Hey, COOLTOY, you did turn off your video, right? We can't see you, just in case. Yeah, we can't. We can hear your voice. We can see a little picture of a little dude.
Let me turn my camera off and on. Sorry about that. I had no idea.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay, he actually didn't have no idea. People in Liliana and Tech Wiz are in the chat. They're like, hey, we can't see him.
Play with some settings and tell me if it happens.
We thought that maybe you did that on your own or something.
No, sorry. That goes back to
there you go, QA.
You see that?
Dang. That's in good condition right there.
A little bit more to the left or right. There you go.
Wait.
There you go.
There you go. Dang.
Yeah, I've got a few vintage Transformers. This is a small one. This is Optimus Prime, my favorite.
I had some toys of mine growing up, and I give them to my kids. They're not of any like real value to them, but my kids, I teach them to take care of things. And so my brother, he's like, dude, those are vintage toys. Why did you give those to your kids? I was like, man, because they're going to enjoy the same childhood I did.
Yep.
They're going to get to enjoy a small piece of that childhood. Then they're going to ask, well, what is this? So that's an opportunity for me to be like, hey, check this out. This is the shows we used to watch. And they could get into it if it's their choice. But it was pretty cool. Just a question to everybody. Who misses the Saturday morning cartoons?
I do.
Oh.
I do.
I do.
I do.
And
Of course. Who
Chip and
doesn't?
Dale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Chip and Dale.
The gummy bears. Gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
I was a big Darkwing Duck fan.
Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck. Just all of like, there's so many good shows. And then like
Good
DuckTales.
times.
Yeah.
DuckTales. Oh yeah.
There's like no good shows anymore.
Tailspin.
honestly.
Oh,
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Forget about that.
Ghostbusters, the cartoon.
Old
I
school
feel-
stuff.
I feel like I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I'm over here thinking Static Shock,
Oh yeah.
Pokemon, a bunch of
Pokemon.
Nickelodeon shows.
hey, 90s Nickelodeon was where it's
Alchemist.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Nickelodeon's always been the hub.
at. Yep.
I feel like the last good Nickelodeon show I watched was Avatar. Ever since then, I haven't.
Oh yeah.
No. I used to love Salute Your Shorts and Hey.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Salute Your Shorts.
Camp Anawana?
I used to want to go there.
I still hear that song in my head right
Oh,
now. It's
absolutely.
great.
Yep.
Oh, good times.
And then the original Ninja Turtles was cool, but when they tweaked it to look more like anime, I was like, you just messed something up.
Yeah.
I remember being like in high school and being like so excited for like that remake to come out. I was like at my girlfriend's house. She's like, "What are we doing tonight?" I'm like, "Well, we're watching Ninja Turtles."
That's
Overwhelmed. But like turn it on and I was like, "Oh wow, this is bad." I felt like the grumpy old man or something because I'm like, "This isn't my Ninja Turtles. This is bad."
That was a bad day for both of you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a
Exactly.
plan B at least.
I think she probably did, but I think I'd probably dug myself like too far in a hole by that point.
Oh.
She's probably like trying to garner my attention. And I was like, "Shh, Raphael's supposed to say something. Need to hear this. Maybe the dialogue's going to save the show. I don't know yet."
He's gonna save it.
Hey guys, I've been wanting to ask. When I keep thinking about retro gaming and what we were talking about with Street Fighter and such, the Super NES is missing out. They came out with such good games on your, on Nintendo Switch. You got Super NES games. You had Metroid. You had Zelda, but then they're missing games like Batman Returns, especially Street Fighter. Now, do you think Street Fighter will be coming out soon for the Super Nintendo on the Switch, or do you think not?
I think if it does come out for Super Nintendo on the Switch, I don't think it'll come out in its retro form. I think they already released Super Street Fighter Turbo 2, right? On the Switch.
I'm talking about like I just wish we had the original on the Super NES, you know, on that.
I don't think they're gonna do it.
No,
My opinion is because they have that collection already, and Capcom's much like Nintendo, where they're all about their name, and so everything, like even the Mega Man games, if you look at it, they're all separately sold. They're not even on the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo. So you're looking at another Capcom, which is Street Fighter. I'm with you, BlackPKMNTrainer. I don't think that they're gonna release it on there. I think if it does anything, it might be separate, like it is in the collection. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, like you guys just said, I don't think they'll release it because they have the Ultimate Edition, and they also have the collection, you know, that has Striker and all those other Street Fighters. So they're not gonna release it. They're not.
Hey, we can put that on our list though.
Right?
Yeah.
Wish list. Yeah.
I mean, there was some rumblings about 5 coming on the Switch, but no, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They actually haven't released much of any games on the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo for the Switch lately. It's been a minute.
I feel like they need like
I
Donkey
think they
Kong
just
Country.
gave up on it.
I haven't started it up in a minute. Who knows?
I agree with you, QA. I feel like Donkey Kong Country is one of those games that really need to come out.
Yeah,
They
need
could
that.
do like the trilogy, just even like, maybe not even necessarily just do a remake, just remaster it. I mean, the graphics from the same company, Rare, that did Killer Instinct, they did the same. They did Donkey Kong Country series. Those graphics still look great to this day, and so I think if they remastered that for the Switch, that would do very well. That was my favorite series out of the Super Nintendo, and this is coming from a Sega Genesis fan here. So
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Kind of
All
like
right,
they
guys,
did
I got one for everybody.
Okay.
I'd like to challenge something. If you guys get a chance to fight me in Street Fighter, will you fight me and will you win?
If I have Ken,
If anybody, if we get a chance, any of us to fight, for me to fight any of you in Street Fighter, me, and would you defeat me? I know I'm nothing.
What version of Street Fighter are we talking? Like,
ooh,
Oh!
cool toy.
there's literally like 40 versions.
Cool toy.
Cool. All right, cool toy. Which version?
Challenge.
Pick
Which one? I would pick Champion Edition before it gets. I'm not a turbo person myself.
Champion Edition. Wait, I have to get a chance because I've been dying for. I love the game Street Fighter since, of course, I'm a kid, but I haven't had a good competition. So I'm just saying, I like if I win or lose, I will enjoy the loss or the win, but it would just be so awesome. Just I wish they had it on the Super Nintendo. We can do it all right now, or eventually. Because I always do Mario Kart.
Get the Switch version. Get the Switch version.
Now we got to get some Street Fighter, and that's what I'm just like the eagerness of playing and wanting to play against my friends and you guys. It would be awesome as heck. Either way.
Me and Mr. Switch have been hitting about that. He's been telling me, he goes, "I'll beat you." I'm like, "I'll challenge you." I never turn down a challenge. Even though if I lose, sometimes I never turn down a challenge.
Buy the collection or buy the Ultimate.
Yeah, you don't want to look like a punk. If someone challenges you, you gotta take the challenge no matter what.
Oh,
Don't
absolutely.
look like a punk. Nope.
But Cool Toy gets to pick Blanca or Chun-Li.
Man button. No, I actually had that.
Go-to.
Speaking of the challenges.
Or Dulcine, I don't know how to say his name, but with the long arms.
Yeah, Dulcin.
Yeah, he was my favorite because my brother would get mad every time we go, or anybody I play in the arcade because you smack him with those long arms. Boof.
Yeah. Anytime someone picks Ken or Ryu, you always want to pick Dulcin because he's the anti Ken or Ryu player.
Yeah, because he reaches out there, and they try to be fast because you could jump and kick. And Blanca's pretty cool because you could jump, and then when you slide, it's always like a go-to to any character.
Yeah, Blanca's a very good anti-air person.
Yeah, because they try to jump right when they hit you.
So Cool Toy, I actually have a good question. I don't know if we got to ask this to you earlier, but do you have like a favorite video game, and do you have a favorite video game console?
Oh, there we go.
Ah.
Oh, we passed that.
I always struggle with favorites just because like as soon as I say something, like 10 seconds later, my internal monologue's like, "You idiot! Why didn't you mention this?" Like, I'm always adamant. Like I always tell people, like this is what I always call, and I guess it could be called my favorites, like my desert island games, which is games that like if I was stranded on a desert island and somehow there was magically a console and power and all that,
Oh yeah.
for whatever reason, it would either be the original Legend of Zelda on the NES,
Ooh,
Super Mario Brothers 3,
great choice.
or Street Fighter 2. Those are the 3 games that I could literally play all day, any day, and really not get tired of them. I've put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and playthroughs on all 3 of those, and I still love them to this day. Like I religiously will go through the Legend of Zelda and play it on a regular basis a couple times a year. Same thing with Super Mario Brothers 3. I don't get tired of it. And Super Mario World's up there as well, because that's another one that I love the heck out of. Favorite console is probably the Genesis. That was the one that I held on to the longest. Like I was always like one generation behind everybody. So when my friends had their NES, I was on the Atari 2600 because that's all I could afford. And then when I got to the NES, everybody had moved on to the Super Nintendo. But so I had my Genesis, and then I have the 32X, and then I had a Sega CD that I got at a pawn shop, and then I bought the Saturn. Like I was a diehard Sega fanboy, and then got the Dreamcast, and then they just disappointed and fell apart and imploded on themselves. I love the Dreamcast, but like Sega, they just fell apart. And then at that point, I was like, well, I jumped over to the Nintendo 64. Loved that console to death. I bought tons and tons of games for it, and now I just play anything and everything. I've got all the consoles, all the systems, and I'm not really a fanboy of any particular, although currently I probably play my Switch more than anything as far as the current gen of consoles, just because it's so convenient, and I don't really care about the most up-to-date graphics, because I'd rather have something in the car with me that I can play anytime, every time, or play on the couch while my wife's watching TV, than have something that plays 4K 60 frames per second.
Yeah,
the Switch is definitely an ingenious console. Like I don't know who thought of it, but I love it.
Yeah, well, you could tell they were trying with the Wii U, and that's to this day the only console I didn't buy, just because I looked at it and I was like, I see what you're trying, you're just not there yet. And lo and behold, a couple of years later,
it seemed like more like a toy than a console. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the Switch is an actual piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's
that's
kind of like.
Oh, go ahead. QA.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna throw in there. I have the Sega Nomad. Yep. It's in my attic right now, but I have the Sega Nomad, and I think it's ginormous compared to like.
Absolutely.
And so the Switch is pretty much kind of like, I feel like it's the modern Sega Nomad, but done right. Yep. The right way. Yeah, the Sega Nomad was a promising little system. You can hook it up to a TV too and all that stuff, but it's
and you had Sega games.
Yeah, I mean, they were ahead of their time thinking of that kind of stuff. It's just, it was super expensive, and they weren't marketed well. Like I think I maybe saw them in a store one time, and then they were gone. Like I never saw those things. Same thing with like a lot of the obscure consoles, like 3DO and the Jaguar.
The Jaguar.
Like, I never saw those things on a store shelf. Like I just saw them in video game magazines. I just thought they were urban legend for the longest time.
Wow. So we had somebody ask in the chat. They asked if you're currently playing Animal Crossing, because right now, off the board, that game is like huge. It's not my thing, but I'm not saying it's not a good game, but it's just one of Nintendo's biggest games right now because of the networking. You can network with people without, their social distancing. So you can network with a bunch of people in a game and still be in that environment. So what do you think?
I haven't personally been into Animal Crossing for whatever reason. That's just one series that I never got into. I don't have anything like against it. I just never picked it up, and this late in the game I just never felt compelled to pick it up. There's other similar games like Pokemon that I love to death and play that are kind of in that vein, and I've just stuck with those, and I've never felt the need to branch out. But I've heard nothing but great things about Animal Crossing. I know everyone's loving it right now, so it's things like that kind of give me that itch to pick it up, but I'm just like, do I need to? Or
do it.
I was about to say, you tell me. Do I need to?
Don't
what am I missing? What am I missing out? Like,
honestly, like from a person that's not like a huge Animal Crossing fan, like I go into the game every once in a while, just like to do little things throughout the game, and it's actually a pretty cool game. But I think I'm like more on the page with you. Like I'm not like huge into it. I'm not like some of these people that are out here playing 300 to 9,000 hours. Playing
like Cloudy.
That's got to be Cloudy.
Yeah.
I'd say like if it wasn't, if you're not something that, if it's not something that you're really looking forward to, like wait for it to be on to have a discount on it.
Okay.
It might be a while, considering the popularity, but
Nintendo's so known for putting things on sale.
Yeah, I know.
They're up
They
there with
take off-
Disney.
They take
Yeah.
off 10% every once in a while.
Only at Walmart though, you can get the games cheaper at Walmart than you can at Target. They're
That's
usually $10 cheaper.
Yeah, it's like $10 on release day, cheaper or whatever.
Exactly. They're always like that.
$4.99. I was like, you guys are undercutting the competition. I like it.
Because my wife, when she buys every once in a while, like when Mario Maker 2 came out, I had been talking about it for a while, and I was like, family first, I'll get my games later. And then she surprised me for my birthday with that. She goes, babe, do you know how many stores I have to go to get this? She goes, I went to Walmart, I went to Target, and I was like, but she said the reason why she set up for Walmart is because we got a good deal on it. She got it for $49.99. And she said,
Not bad.
Yeah, Target wanted
Definitely.
straight $60, and the lady was supposed to hold the tin for her, but she came within like that hour, and the tins were just gone. And I told my wife, I appreciate the fact that you were scalping around to get me Mario Maker 2, because at the time it was so popular, it was flying off the shelves. So it was cool.
Yeah, I played the heck out of that one. I was super excited. That was one of those things,
yeah.
like I said, I didn't get the Wii U, so like I knew I missed out on Mario Maker, but I was like,
Same.
I'll play the patient long game or whatever. And sure enough, lo and behold, it came out. So I was like, yes, holding off worked.
So did you go ahead and try the update when it came out, the World Maker?
As far as making my own levels?
Like the the Super Mario World Maker.
Oh, yes.
The update.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Had to, just because, it basically gives you a whole nother game once you got all those options.
For sure.
I tried to make a level, and I think I maybe spent like 15 minutes in it. And I realized I'm like, yeah, I'm not good at this. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I probably should have went into that with like a game plan and a strategy. Instead, I was like, oh my God, it was like 30 minutes have gone by. I don't think I've made it 4 feet on my level. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
You literally just described Animal Crossing.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you have to have a creative mind to play either of those games. If you're not into those kind of things where you have an open mind, what you want to create, then it's probably not for you, honestly.
It's pretty cool though, because like I call it a hack. My kids, they like sandbox style games. So I'll be like, hey guys, you want to build some levels on Mario Maker 2? And so they build a bunch. I'm like, boof, boss. So it's pretty fun. It's because it gives the kids a creative outlet. So you don't feel bad that they're just vegging on a game. So I feel like Mario Maker 2 is good across the board for adults and kids. And it's like one upset. If you don't have that creative mind, it's like, you're like, eh.
Even if you don't like creating the levels, it's an awesome game to play because you have an unlimited amount of levels to play. Like that's why I stream it all the time, because it's a different game every time I play. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's never ending. I mean, you're definitely getting your bang for your buck on that one.
Oh yeah.
And then people like beat 'em ups. He throws levels on there too, and they're so wild. I played his levels, and I was playing. I was like, "How do you beat this thing?" I just turned off my Switch. When you're a kid and you throw the controller, you can't throw your Switch; it'll break. Yeah. So I was like, put this thing down.
Yeah, there's definitely some levels I've seen out there that people have clearly made it for sadistic purposes. Like, I know you have to like make it to where at least somebody finishes the game before it gets published or whatever. But like, there's some of them out there. I'm like, this person hates humanity. There is to it.
How the heck did they beat this level?
Yeah,
I had a hard time beating the one I made.
Okay. So like I had this guy come to one of my Mario Maker streams a while ago, back when the game first came out, or maybe a couple months after it came out. And I was streaming. I'm like, hey, let me play your level. And this kid came up to me and he was like, yeah, I made this level a long time ago, but I just finally beat it. I want you to try it.
Imagine that. Making a level and not being able to complete your own level.
That's tough.
Long story short, I didn't finish it.
Hey guys, I got a question from from Tech Wiz in the chat, and he's asking COOLTOY, is there if there's an E3 next year, will you attend it?
Oh yeah, I had a blast. It cost me a fortune, but I had an absolute blast going out there. It was something that I always like had on my bucket list. You know, it's like I always watch E3 live and everything like that. I just decided like, hey, I'm going to go out there and.
So if there's one next year, would you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'm going. I know this year it's going to be all like digital, you know, just video packages from all the companies. So that'll be a little underwhelming. I mean, we'll still get some cool news and video packages and information, but I mean, being able to go there and hang out with fellow nerds and things like that and get to like play and see these games well before they were released. Cause like one of the biggest things that I was excited for last year with E3 was getting to play the Link's Awakening remake. Cause that was one of my childhood.
Oh yeah. It's a tight game.
So like I waited in line for freaking ever to test out that game, but it was good because I got to play it like, you know, months before it came out. So that was a really cool experience. And same thing with like seeing the Avengers game and Final Fantasy VII remake. Again, another one I waited in line forever to test out, but 100% worth it because like 7 months later, it finally got released. So I got an experience to take away from that to me was worth the investment that it cost me to go out there.
Okay, so I was actually going to go for my first time this year. I was excited. We were
do you remember
the big package? We were going to get I was going to have flight and everything planned, but of course, we know what happened recently, and now it's just like everything's being pushed back. So we're going to wait till next year. So I'm sure they'll have it next year, as hopefully things will cool down. Has any of the, how you say, this coronavirus thing affected your lifestyle, or are you just everything?
Oh yeah. So my day job I work in the healthcare industry. So
man.
Me too.
yeah, luckily I say luckily, that's kind of disrespectful, but I don't work in patient care, so I'm not dealing like in the hospital settings. My job is to procure and secure inventory for all our hospitals, medical distribution centers and things like that. So I've been on red alert for the last month and a half where everyone wants masks, gowns, you know, all this stuff. They want it now. They want tons and tons and tons of quantities, you know, just all this stuff. Like I've literally spent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars before it's even lunchtime. Whereas previously I'd spend like maybe $1 million or $2 and, you know, spend for buying all this supplies a week. And it was like 2 weeks ago, I spent $36 million before it was like 10 a.m. Like me being like a poor kid growing up, whatever, it's not my money or whatever, but like, it just almost makes me nauseous, like to click a button that I have access to and spend $36 million. And like, I don't have to ask anybody's permission. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Y'all giving a poor kid from a trailer park the ability $36 million without asking anybody's permission, click of a mouse.
Oh man,
you guys are crazy.
I feel that I honestly I feel that struggle. I work in food distribution, so the company I work for distribute a bunch of products to grocery stores, to restaurants, you know, so on and so forth. So like, you know, around that time, like, you know, the second week of March hit, you know, like you've got like this increased demand for everything. And then like the next thing you know, like we're out of stock of a lot of product. And then we're talking to our vendors like, hey, when can we get this in? Like we're bugging our vendors like, you know what? We like our sales increased by like 500%. You ain't getting this for like 5 months, you're done. Yeah. And like, it's just been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride, dude. I feel you on that.
Yeah, I mean, we've literally just telling people all the time. We get customers calling in our customer service department email. It's my department. They're like, hey, what's the ETA on this product? I'm like, the vendor says they're never going to make this again. Literally, you will never see this product ever again. Wow. They're like, well, do you have any substitutions? Nice. I'm like, yeah, I've got 9 substitutions. And guess what? They're all out of stock. The world is trying to buy these same 5 products right now. It's and that's
just like trying to get Lysol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've literally, for my work, had to buy 2 years worth of hand sanitizer. I literally placed a purchase order for every single month for the next 2 years that will show up in our distribution centers. I'm like, you know what? 6 months from now, hopefully, fingers crossed, all things, you know, willing, when this like all goes away, they're going to be calling me and saying, hey, can you return that 2 years worth of hand sanitizer that we had you buy? I just know it's going to happen. But that's part of it.
Yeah, that's the best way to go viral now on YouTube is those how to create your own hand sanitizer Lysol videos.
Oh yeah.
Or the self haircut video. That's another one that's going viral.
God.
Haven't tried that yet.
Nope, I'm just gonna let my hair go wild. I don't have time to try to start cutting myself. So
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see a lot of these people go back to the office for the first time and, you know, see what kind of mountainish look they've got. Is like, do they come back looking like the Unabomber? Or do they come off kilter haircut because they couldn't cut a straight line, or what?
That's great.
COOLTOY, I have one question for you.
Sure.
Because you said a couple of times, and like you referenced it a couple of times, and I'm just gonna assume that you really like Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you watched Clone Wars?
The new one? Yeah, of course.
Without any spoilers, what's your emotion? Like, what's your thinking process right now? What emotions are you feeling?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was really. I'm trying to do this, but yeah, that's not really a spoiler. So their take on Order 66 and like how they showed kind of like another side of how that kind of played out, I thought was pretty sweet. It's surreal to like have it come back and then, you know, have it being taken right back away because, you know, it's like, hey, we got this last season, but then it's like feels like short and it's not enough because we just want so much more. The Clone Wars is what we should have had like 7 movies made out of instead of like, you know, this animated television series. Not knocking the television series, but like it got skipped over so hard and not given enough like prominent attention in the movies. It was just, it's like, oh hey, yeah, we had a movie, you know, and Anakin had a mullet, and you know, then they got married and lived happily ever after, and then boom, Revenge of the Sith. It was like, no, there was like so much that went on between episode 2 and 3 that the Clone Wars fleshes out, but we didn't really get to see in the cinematic world. So that's one thing I always just like bugged me with the cinematic, you know, movie world is like it didn't have that really good depth of the Clone Wars that we get from Dave Filoni. And I mean, he's master of his craft. There's a reason everybody loves the Mandalorians because Dave Filoni's working on it. The guy obviously knows what he's doing. He's a Star Wars nerd and lover at heart. So I mean, it's really good that he got to do Clone Wars, and it's really great that he's now getting a little creative control and being able to do the Mandalorian because he's clearly the guy for the job.
Mandalorian is off the hook.
Yeah. Great.
I am excited for this last episode of Clone Wars. I'm excited to see what happened. Like the last episode, like literally, like almost had me in tears, just because of the emotional ties with all the previous seasons of that show, as compared to when they actually did Order 66 in the original series. It's like, meh.
You're like, oh, Anakin, he bad, and then it's over. And it's like,
and like we all knew that was coming.
Yeah,
we didn't know how this is going to turn out. Like it was just interesting. Like it had me excited. Like I watched it at 3 o'clock in the morning this morning.
Dang boy,
it was just good times. I'm excited for everything that Star Wars have to come out with Disney Plus, and I have nothing but good things for anything that came out that wasn't a recent movie.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to the Obi-Wan spinoff. I think that that's something we've all been clamoring for years. I think.
How's the Mandalorian to you guys?
Awesome. I thought it was perfect.
Great.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
I mean, to me, it was movie quality, very movie quality.
Baby Yoda.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Can't find those anywhere right now.
No,
I know.
Yeah,
that's a rare item right now.
Yeah.
Out of stock. It's like a food item right now.
You guys, real quick, we're at 7. We got about 7 minutes. I think we'll cover about an hour and a half there.
Oh wow, that went by fast.
I know.
You guys want to do 20 minutes or 7 minutes? 7 minutes would be the hour and a half, or do you want to add an extra 10, or just stay at the regular time? Or keep on going until you guys get tired.
Yeah.
I actually have a quick question for COOLTOY. I was watching the podcast after our podcast, and then I watched the retake of the podcast on the Rexer show for the II arcade, and I thought that thing looked super neat. Like, so what are your thoughts on it? Like, I mean, because I feel like Arcade One Up right now really has like a strong hold on that market for like the take home arcades. Do you think this one might have potential? Because it looked pretty neat. I mean.
It's definitely got a lot of upside to it. The biggest thing I've been waiting for a long time was price, because when I met him at CES and got to see it and demo the unit and everything. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like what you're telling me. I like the features, liking all this stuff. But like at CES, he's like, I don't have a price yet. I'm like, well, then I can't even like begin to evaluate this without a price, because you could tell me $3,000 and I could say high five, good luck, but you'll never sell it. Or you could tell me $30 and I could say you're a genius. How did you do this? You know, but he finally came out and said he's going to have a Kickstarter price at $299. I think he absolutely has to be at $299 or lower, just because of the already established market, with Arcade 1-Up being around the $300 to $400 price point. You got at games at $500 to $600 depending on what retailer you get it from. So there's already kind of like that soft spot where they need to be. It's got more power than an Arcade 1-Up cabinet, so it's going to be able to play more advanced games. They just announced today that they hired a former Sony executive vice president to help them with their creative licensing and content acquisitions. So, I mean, that's a big announcement. I'm like, oh my God, this guy was a vice president for Sony Computer Entertainment. And he's going to be in charge of securing licenses and games. I'm like, that's a pretty big announcement. So I think it's got a lot of potential. Online capability. I like the ability that, like, I know it's not for everybody, because a lot of people are either like, just buy a Raspberry Pi, download all the games illegally and don't care about it, or there's the people that don't mind buying games off an eShop or things like that. Typically there's somewhere people in the middle, but a lot of times you're either one field or the other. I find myself being I don't care if I bought that game 5 times, I'll buy it 6 times, just because I like supporting the artist and I like supporting the creative, juices. Like that's just the way I was raised, is like, if you go to a concert, if you illegally downloaded the band CD, at least you could do is buy a t-shirt, even the playing field some way. And that's kind of the way I am with video games. Like, I've got an Odroid, Raspberry Pi, all those things, and I got all the games I could possibly want, but I'll still buy physical media and support these creative outlets, because I want to see these games continue to be made. So I like what they're doing there. I like the hybridization. It can be like a bar top, or it can be a stand up.
That's cool.
I think the $150 price point for that stand is stupid steep. I told him that at CES. I'm like, if you're going to sell that stand for $150, it needs to double and do something. Like, it needs to have like a swinging door to where it's got shelf space for storage or something. Like, it needs to do more than just be particle board that's $150.
Yeah. We could build one of those for cheaper than that.
Yeah. It's got a headphone jack, which is good. It's got a bigger monitor, which is good. Same thing. He had a 17-inch and a 19-inch version at CES, and I was like, which one are you going with? He's like, we haven't decided with. I'm like, well, I'm just telling you, this is my 2 cents. You can take it or leave it. I'm like, your competition's got a 17-inch. You need a 19-inch. You need to do something to separate yourself from the pack.
That's a great
like, you've got, upgraded buttons and joystick. That's great. They're not name brand, but they're still better quality. So you need to do something that stands out from the crowd. So you got an online game store, but you don't have, you're not ready to announce those games yet. So that's kind of a hard sell. So he's really got to rely on, the ingenuity of what it can do versus what other products currently can do. It's not something I've seen them pushing a lot, but I'm hoping it's something that they're going to, as this slowly gets closer and closer to a Kickstarter sale and a release date, because I know it's still, it's an unreleased product. So they're kind of being tight-lipped with everything, because you don't want to just spill the beans. And then now your competition knows exactly what you're doing and what you're using. And now they know how to counter your next 6 months before you're even out on store shelves. So I understand why they got to be tight-lipped, but I'm anxious to see it. I think $299 is going to be a good price for it. And we'll see what the future holds as far as games and capabilities.
Cool. Good point. All right, cool.
I wanted to ask you guys if you guys ever heard about this Atari console that was supposed to come out a couple years ago.
The VCS.
Is that ever coming out?
Don't even get me started on that.
Is that ever coming out?
Why not?
Yeah, I know.
They've been investigated so many times because people are they're on crowdfunding, and they keep promising all these things. They keep promising the system. And when somebody questions them or they do some type of investigation, they have to show something. But it's been years, and it's like, nah. I personally, no, I wouldn't buy it. It doesn't look like it. Oh, I have to have one of these because an Android phone can do what that thing can do.
It plays Fortnite.
I don't think it'll see the light of day. One of the funniest things I thought was, I was hoping that it was going to be at CES, because I'm like, all right, finally, if they're going to show this off, they didn't have it at E3, maybe CES is going to be the place. And got in touch with some people and they sent a little press release, and they were literally doing a scavenger hunt for the Atari VCS, where they literally took it out of the case. They put it randomly somewhere at CES, which, mind you, CES is literally like 9 different hotels in Vegas, plus the convention center. It's just thousands upon millions of square foot of, you'd never see a quarter of it, in your entire time. Anyways, they randomly put that thing hidden somewhere at CES, took it out of its case for somebody to find, and they said, if you find it, you'll get to play it and experience it first. I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. That shows me that you're not ready.
That's shady.
Yeah, it's shady. It shows me you, number one, you're nowhere near a release, because like you're not even willing to show like press behind the closed doors that you've got a prototype or a testable unit. You're literally doing a scavenger hunt, which has 0% chance of ever being found, or 0% chance that anyone can even verify that it ever happened.
Or if it was even there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, they're just dumb things like that. Just red flag, red flag. No.
I remember when they even had the thing where you could pre-order it, and then you could either pick the wooden finish or the all black.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, they're really serious about this.
The wooded finish.
Yeah,
It was gonna have a wooden finish,
grain, baby.
like
I think it was wooden. Well, I think it was the wood green and the orange, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Speaking of Kickstarters, I don't know if you guys heard, like, because obviously with like, it's this kind of like tapping back into like the love letter thing. Light guns. It seems like, I mean, obviously for years, the only like really viable option has, aside from like the Wii, would be like, what is it? The aim track. I have the aim track light gun, but there's a Kickstarter called the Sinden technology that I don't know if anyone's been heard about that. I've been following it religiously, and I actually like put a little bit of money into it because I really want to, like, I would love to get that. It's a light gun that's, you can just plug and play, and it's cordless, and you can use it on all your like LCD modern televisions. And that's an awesome Kickstarter, but I don't know when that's gonna take place.
That's the thing. Like, people have been saying that for at least like a year and a half in message boards. Anytime you talk about like arcades or anything like that has anything to do with light guns, somebody's always like, just wait for the Sinden light gun. And I'm like, we've been waiting for the Sinden light gun. That's the thing. Like, we want this thing. Like, and I get it. I mean, the guy literally like created the technology from the ground up, and like mass producing things, that costs time, money, effort. I get it. But like, give us a timetable at least. Like, tell us like, hey, I'm still 6-9 months away from even possibly shipping 100 of these. Like, just some sort of update, because the last update I saw was not promising.
Right. He teases like update videos, and I just want to be able to play like House of the Dead.
Oh yeah,
my modern television without my aim track.
Yeah. Because the aim track's as good as it gets right now, but like there's wires and sensor bars, and like I literally got a sensor bar on top of the monitor that I'm looking at right now, and I just hate looking at it because it's gaudy, it's ugly, it's got a wire sticking out, and I'm just like, we put a man on the moon. We can't figure this stuff out.
Yeah. I think because it emulates, it's like similar to the technology, I think, of the Wii, the Wiimote. So I think that's how it kind of operates. But yeah, that would be super awesome. And again, if Arcade 1UP or whoever can get that technology in hand for a take-home cabinet for, like, say, a Virtual Cop, or
they're working
like,
on it.
Holy cow!
Yeah, no, they're working on it. It's just a matter of like getting that cost down. Yeah, like, how do you do it at that sub $500 price point they live at? And that's the thing where they're like, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I think people are willing to pay like the premium price if they could get it. Like, especially like people are paying for the light up marquees, for example. It looks beautiful. It's a great touch, and the upgraded, the buttons and everything else. It makes a difference. For
Absolutely.
sure. Cool.
Okay, I have one more question for you, COOLTOY. Just one more. I feel like I have to ask you this as a Pokemon trainer, and I need to know, what is your favorite Pokemon and why? And if you do have a favorite shiny Pokemon, you can share that too.
I mean, this sounds like super, played out, whatever. My favorite was always Pikachu. And this just comes down to like personal historical significance. Like, I already kind of alluded to it, like when I was talking about like hanging out with my girlfriend and watching Ninja Turtles. But like, I was always like the Tom Hanks big kid. Like, in my high school bedroom, I had a poster of Tyra Banks, and then right next to it, I had this Sesame Street Elmo poster. And then above my bed, I had a Pokemon 2000 poster.
Nice.
So
Nice.
the playing field was all over the board because it's like, okay, he's kind of an adult male, but he's still got like childish tendencies all over. But anyways, like my high school car that I drove around, I had two of these like little plush Pikachus that were on like a lanyard string. I don't even know where I got them, but like I tied them together and they're like dangling dice on my rearview mirror. I called them my Pikachucks because my friends would always make fun of me for having my, you know, my toys, my Pikachu stuff, and I'd always take them off my mirror and start swinging them around and just smack the living crap out of my friends with Pikachucks. So I've always been very partial to Pikachu because he's defended my honor on more than one occasion. So if I had like a favorite, it would be Charmander.
Okay. I like the Pikachu answer. That thing that had a really cool background story. I like that.
Like I said, he's obviously the most played out answer you could possibly pick because he's the mascot. But I'm like, no, he literally stuck up for me. He took out my friends several times. First thing, anytime they got in the car, they're like, "Take those stupid things off your mirror." And I was like, "You talking smack? You want to get hit?"
Now that you're an adult, you need to get a Pikachu taser.
There we go. That would make so much sense too.
Right?
It would make so much practical sense. I love that. And I'm sure it exists because, you know, Japan.
Right.
Why not?
Like bring that across seas, though.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we are hitting our 7 o'clock mark. Switch, what do you think?
It's about that time. Let's see. Any last things you guys want to say at all to COOLTOY, or any questions you had or anything you want to
Thank you for coming by, man. We really appreciate it, man. It was an honor. Thank you.
And thanks for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Like, schedule opened up. Normally I'm doing like this live stream thing every Friday night. So we moved ours to Saturday, and Arlen reached out and said, "Hey, can you do it Friday?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got nothing going on. I'd love to hang out and talk shop with you guys."
I definitely appreciate you coming by, and Retro for helping out. This is our 3rd official podcast. So we're just like new into all this. You know, This is something that started with, you know, I've been wanting to do this for a while. Then Cloudymind reminded me a while later, talked to Retro, and we all just started grouping together. And we got a good team here, and definitely appreciate you for stopping by. Hopefully we can have you later on another time. Maybe we can play games. Maybe we can play some Street Fighter or
Street Fighter.
Keep in touch.
That'd be awesome. Absolutely.
I think he's low-key challenging you.
Challenging you. Yeah, you're right, Cloudy.
That's fine.
I think I can beat him.
I'm trying to find a way I'm working with all the gimmicks here, how to put this into OBS, how to make us visible to, let's say we were YouTubing, but we're on Zoom, but we can play a game together. I don't know. So I'm just trying to work at all the little things here and there, but it's exciting so if you have any tips for us of what you've seen, any advice right now for us starting into this podcast
before we leave, I want to show you guys something real quick. Okay. I'm gonna go to my video settings, and I think my Switch is on. It is. Let me add the controller to it. Since the capture card acts as a actual webcam, like you can actually, like if you're using like an Elgato capture card, for example, you can actually use that to project whatever game you're playing. So if you guys are gonna play like, you know, Street Fighter on the Switch, a PlayStation, so on and so forth, you can actually use your Elgato as a webcam rather than having it be used as an actual webcam. So that's an option for us.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
So, COOLTOY?
That's a great tip. I was going to suggest something like that because I'm literally using my Elgato capture card right now to use my DSLR as a webcam. It's things like that allow you.
I was wondering why your picture was so damn clear.
I think we were all wondering that.
No, I've got a Razer webcam, but it says it's 1080p, but it looks like 1080p through a clouded mirror lens. It's nowhere near my DSLR. So I was like, wait a minute. I just hook up my DSLR to my Elgato camera with that cam link, and then bada bing, bada boom, and I'm good to go. So like you said, Pokemon Trainer, using that Elgato as a secondary source, you can bring in your gameplay that way. OBS obviously Streamlabs, things like that. It's going to allow you. It really, the only tricky part about that kind of thing is like, it all kind of relies on who's hosting the stream, like what their bandwidth is, what their PC capabilities are. So that's like what you got to find out first, like who's going to maintain that, because that's the person running the boards, the switches and everything like that. So as soon as you get that figured out, you're up and running, and then you can start to do it little by little. I always tell people, like, you know, don't try to do too much at one time. Like, you don't have to have like 40 overlays and a chat window and all this stuff. My live stream is literally my game and then me in the corner. Like, I don't worry about anything other than like playing the game and talking to people. So like, as long as I can cover those basics, I'm good. Like, you can grow and add on later, but like, just start with the basics. You obviously, you guys got a great crew right here. Zoom's working out fine for you guys. Like, you know, don't feel rushed to like have to jump away from it unless you just feel like you've outgrown it and you need to expand in some other reason, because there's a lot of time, money, and effort you can sink into all this stuff. And if you don't, you know, religiously do it regularly or whatever, then it's not going to be a worthwhile investment. Same thing with like, you know, people ask me, like, oh, what kind of equipment do you use? I'm like, it doesn't matter what equipment I use. It's whatever works the best for you. Like, you don't need fancy camera, lens, all that stuff. Like, just work with what you got until you're ready to upgrade, until you feel like you've outgrown it. Say, okay, I'm ready for something else. I'm ready to go on to that next stage, and that next stage, slowly level up that way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. One of my favorite streamers, Albert Wesker, he's a huge Resident Evil streamer. I've never seen this person's face before, but he's out here doing his thing. He has probably one of the best Resident Evil channels that I've ever seen. I love watching him stream because he's just good. He's knowledgeable about the game. And that's why a lot of people come to him, because he knows what he's doing, and it's Resident Evil. So he has a lot of Resident Evil fans coming through. So I just couldn't agree with you more. It's not about the equipment. It's about the content you put out and how people see you.
Agree.
Awesome. Again, thank you very, very, very much, COOLTOY, for accepting the invite. It was huge for all of us. So, like I said, I watch your content all the time.
I appreciate it, guys. This has been a blast talking with you guys. Super fun. I love talking with like-minded people. Just stick with it, guys. I know you guys are starting out with this podcast, but I think you got something here. Like I said, you guys got a nice, you know, a nice gelling, you know, symbiosis between yourselves. You guys got a nice, nice banter back and forth. So that's good.
A lot of us been connected for a while, so a lot of us known each other for a couple years or more. So it's like we had the camaraderie built. It's now, what are we gonna do with it?
Yeah,
exactly.
That was what Mr. Switch presented. He goes, what's the next step? He always keeps saying, what's the next step? I like that. You know, it's like if you're not going forward, you're standing still or going backwards. So he's all about, let's go to the next step. I'm like, me too. Well, where are we going? Let's go somewhere.
Well, that's good too, because that shows you guys are like in this together and you're trying to build each other up. Like I said, another one of the reasons I started the YouTube things, I got tired of seeing all these people like trying to climb the ladder by pulling other people off the ladder and pulling them down. And like, no, I've got to do this before this guy does this. It's like, no, like build each other up. Like, don't try to like silo yourself off and say, I've got to do this because this guy does this, or I've got to do this because this guy's going to upload it before me. It's like, no, help each other, work to build the community, and everybody else will be better off for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree.
That was it. Thank you so much for that advice, and appreciate you, and I appreciate all you guys for joining this, and it makes it even more better. So I look forward to the future with this Gamerz Realm, and keeping in touch with all you guys, COOLTOY, Cloudy Ninja, Retro.
Yeah, actually, to piggyback off of that, I mean, actually, the funny thing is, I actually met I met Retro Stylz through COOLTOY, through you, who recommended the collaboration that you guys had.
Awesome.
So when I saw the collaboration, right away I subscribed to Retro Stylz, and we started connecting on Twitter. And then that's when I started meeting everybody else, the Nintendo Bros, through Gamerz Realm. So I actually have to thank COOLTOY for that.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, man.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I always say, you know, you and Pat and Plays are like my two main reasons for starting YouTube, and, you know, getting in on it also, because you guys are very genuine, and especially your channel, like you always just seem like you're genuine, and it's really a lot of fun to watch, and I can definitely tell, you know, you're doing your thing, and it's a lot of fun, you know, to do. So definitely inspired me a lot. So I just want to say thank you for that.
That's super humbling to hear, and I don't really know how to respond to that. I didn't say get that great.
He always said what we were all thinking. So
you know,
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining tonight. I'm sure you guys got to get back to either dinner or.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
I gotta go see what's going on with my Luigi. Luigi's with the missus right now, so he's only about 1 year old. Just started walking.
Aw.
He's head height on the table, so he's banging all the tables. So I have to be mindful. If I hear him, I gotta run. But yeah. So either way, guys, thank you so much, and I'm gonna let you guys go. Great podcast.
Yes.
Awesome time. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Take care, guys. Thanks,
Bye,
COOLTOY.
guys.
Blackest Gamer, you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Pokemon trainer. You know what? I just thought about it. I'm gonna hold give me 1 second. I'm gonna log off the stream. I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone in the stream. Can you stay on with me?
Yeah.
All right. I want to see what you did with when you showed us. All right. Let me. So I'm gonna say goodbye to everyone in the chat. Thanks, Tech Wiz Retro, everyone who texts on the tech side. Everyone. Let's see. The Switch Bit, Liliana, and Walter. Okay, I'm gonna end that here. Okay, and the stream with the YouTube. Take care, guys.